and welcome to Green Shoots. I'm Anisha Nayar Dhawan. Green Shoots is a program where we catch up with startup founders to know their story about their dreams, how they nurture the business, and what they plan for the future growth of their companies. In the show today, I have with me Mr. Girish Nagpal, CEO and co-founder of MetroRide. MetroRide is a ride-hailing service where your ride to the metro station becomes easy and economical. Thank you so much, Girish, for joining us. So, what was your light bulb moment to start MetroRide? Was it because ride-hailing was the thing, the best place? Was it EVs because EVs are the future? What led you to start MetroRide?
Well, at the onset, thank you, Anisha, for this opportunity to share my story and the team at founderINDIA. Glad to be here. And like you said, yes, you always have these nagging problems, right, which you face firsthand. And that was my story, right? I've been an entrepreneur for the last 4 years. So after building one startup into education, which again was very close to my heart. And this was when an old-time friend, Kaman, who was visiting me, this was January of 2020, last year. So he came from US and we were just sitting over a coffee and discussing how the life has actually evolved, the way we commute. And he interestingly shared that he stays in East Bay in California, and how he struggles to reach the metro station when he has to go to San Francisco City, his workplace. And I could immediately click so well with it because I have personally faced it. So I stay in South Bangalore, and I used to commute to CBD, which was a place called Cunningham Road here in Bangalore. And I used to drive anywhere between 1 to 1.5 hours in the morning and coming back absolutely no clue when would you actually reach. 2 hours, 2.5 hours, at time 3 hours driving on the road. And when the metro started in Bangalore, I was so happy that I would be able to use metro and utilize that time maybe reading, because I love reading. So that was my whole motto. But when the metro started, day one I was there, and I was amazed that there was no place to park my car. And I had to literally take a detour and go back to office in the same car. Next time I tried using the taxi options, but again I got rejected by these drivers 5 times. Again came back and took my car and went to office. So long story short, I was not able to reach the metro station to enjoy that ride to my office. And later I realized that there were people who used to stay very close to metro. One side, their house was very close, but right from the last mile itself. So the metro station from my office was almost 1.5 kilometers. And I literally saw people walking from there because in the morning there was no option available. So I had these colleagues of mine who would literally walk from metro station to the office, carry one extra set of clothes because they were always sweating when they came back, an extra set of shoes with them. And that was so vivid in my mind when Kaman shared his story. And I was like, this exactly is what we face in India. And let's try to do something about it. And that's how the whole MetroRide journey started, Anisha.
Girish, you reminded me of my time in New York where I had to wade through knee-high snow to make it to the metro station because there's no option. You got to walk. And honestly, in New York, we used to walk a lot to the metro station. In India, it's so sweltering hot that it's very difficult to do this. But now I'm talking about Delhi, and I do use the metro in Delhi. Now, I step out of the station and there's an auto ride there. So, I mean, why do I need metro ride? I got an auto ride.
Wonderful. So, like you said, you don't use metro too often, and maybe I would put you in the affluent category, so to say. So, our solution is typically meant for somebody who uses metro for their everyday commute, right? So, imagine I'm using metro for 15 kilometers and I say I pay some 30, 40, 50 bucks, right? But to reach that station, which is just 2 kilometers from my home, it'll really pinch me if I was to pay an 80 or 100 rupees for an auto or even a taxi, right? And if it is once in a while, I don't mind paying. And I'm talking of a working class and the college students here, right? For them, every single day, that cost of reaching the station to and fro, right? Not just once, but twice in a day. It is really high, so to say. And that's where, in fact, when we did our research, that is where we found that most of the people, because of this big issue, they don't even use metro. So they rely on then alternate means, wherein they, of course, spend 3 times the time which they normally would have using metro. So they
But
actually
they
do
have
not use.
convenience. But
Yeah,
they have
and
convenience.
Delhi still, I would say, is one of the better markets where you still have some options,
Mm.
and that shows in the metro ridership numbers as
That's
well,
well, yeah.
right? So every single city apart from Delhi, if you see, is running at less than 40% of the projected ridership. That tells you the story.
Okay. So Girish, how does it work? Because when ride-hailing apps, Ola and Uber started, they were famous for the cash they burned. They weren't making money, but they were giving rides to millions of people. How does it work for you? Because I'm guessing the USP is that it's a very cost-effective way for people to reach the metro station. And how reliable is it? And how does the metric work in your favor? Is it the number of trips? Are you going to be making money soon enough? How does it work?
Sure. So I think you've put the head on the nail, right? So if you look at any of the typical, without naming any brands, any ride-hailing taxi service, we pay more because there is a lot of inefficiency into the system still. Though they have tweaked the whole model. When I used to earlier walk for an auto or a taxi to the taxi stand, but now the taxi comes to my home. But what that does in the process is there is a lot of dead kilometers the driver has to drive to reach me, and also in locating me. That's a huge challenge which we found again during our research, that on an average any taxi hailing service spends 12 to 15 minutes in just locating the customer or the customer driver matchmaking. So these dead minutes, dead kilometer, ultimately who's going to pay for it is the customer, right? So that was a key insight we built on. So we use a lot of technology to ensure that we remove these inefficiencies from the system. And of course, there is something which we expect the daily commuter, if he was to get a ride which is less than 50% of the regular cost of a taxi, so we expect them to walk a little. So we bring in technology plus process innovation to solve this problem. So what we do is, let's say if I am you stay in South Delhi, so let's say you're at a Malviya Nagar metro station. So what we do is, if I am at Malviya Nagar, we pick up that 5 kilometer radius from the metro station and plot something called as virtual stops or the MetroRide stops. Okay. So the moment you open my app from your home, you'll be guided to the closest MetroRide stop. We expect you to walk there. So in most cases, it will be less than 150, 200 meters, right? So you reach there and all the passengers basically going to the same destination are clubbed together. So this is a 100% shared mobility solution, and we use 100% electric vehicles. So that also helps, not only it is cheaper, it also helps the environment by reducing the number of cars on the road and definitely reducing the carbon footprint as well.
Great. Sustainable business is the future. So I want to understand where and how do you make the money? Because I'd wait if it's efficient. If my wait time is not too long, yeah, I'll wait. Otherwise, I'll just take a solution expensive. I mean, a auto or a taxi, no matter how expensive it is, because time is money these days, right? And you're saying that this app will build a route. So I'm guessing that I can also time how much time it will take. I want to understand how you're making money, because EVs are cheap, your costs are low, but you're offering low cost rides to people as well. So where is the kicker coming in for you? Are you also burning cash?
Sure. So I'll tell you how we are able to match ends here. Like I said, there are lesser number of dead miles and dead minutes here. So our drivers actually finish almost 60% more rides than any other platform in India, right? So because they are able to do more, they earn more from our platform, and that's what binds them to us. How we make money is, of course, we charge a percentage to the drivers, right? And there are alternate revenue streams which will kick in now because we have this data available to us, right? So we are building our proprietary a solution which is a hyper-local advertising platform. So rather than taking too much money from the driver, we monetize the time of the customer who is with us, right? So we basically use this as a hyper-local advertising platform wherein we can show them ads of local businesses. So this also comes in a very interesting proposition for the local businesses, like a a high-end gym or a restaurant, if you want to promote your business in the 4-5 kilometer hyper-local market, there is absolutely no option as of now, right? So you basically use pamphlets, which are 95% of them go waste. You don't even know who's watching them, right? So we are able to do a targeted campaign for these local businesses, which gives us an additional revenue stream. And to add to it, we also do last mile deliveries in the mornings to ensure that our drivers again are able to basically be utilized in a better way.
Okay, so you told me about three streams. One is the earnings of the drivers, one is advertising, one is delivery. So roughly, what is the contribution of these streams to your revenues, and what about the profitability?
Sure. So it's going to change with time, but as of now, 80% of course is through the driver commissions, and 10% each from the other two streams. But it's going to change, wherein it will become 60-20-20.
And the ownership of the vehicle, is it yours? Is the drivers? How does that work?
So the vehicles are all owned by the driver. So we are an asset light company, because when we have to expand, that becomes really critical for us, right? So we have to expand in different geographies. If we own vehicles, then it's going to become too asset heavy on us. But having said that, we do, like for example, there are markets where you do not have too much of EV adoption, right? So Bangalore, for example. So there we've come up with very interesting models wherein we help people who do not have vehicles in getting loans at preferential rates, even getting them leased, because we ensure that, because if he's driving on our platform, there is a certain predictability on how much money he can make, right? So that makes them more loanable, so to say. So we help them get these vehicles through different institutional types we have.
Great. So we've understood your revenue sources. What about the profitability? Are you burning cash? Are you profitable?
Sure. So see, we are in a B2C environment, Anisha, wherein you have to, of course, set up the pillars before we set going. At a scale where we are, the good thing is at the unit level, we are not burning money. But of course, on the whole, because we've just started, it's been less than an year, right? So to build the whole technology stack took us a good 8 to 9 months, right? We have a huge tech team, because we are building a tech company rather than a transport company here, right? So of course, with economies of scale, definitely the numbers, we don't expect us, we won't be burning too much of cash, because again, there is a unique thing about our business model that the customers literally walks to a metro station. So rather than going and hunting for him everywhere, so that's why our cost of acquisition is really low. But yes, if you ask me today, definitely there is a burn because of the scale we are at. But still, at the unit level, we are not burning cash.
So, Girish, were you nervous about starting this at the height of the pandemic, when there's a lockdown and the metros are shut and no one wants to step out of their homes? Were you a little worried, fearful?
I would say, of course, there have been jitters, because nobody expected when we started. Yes, there was a pandemic already, but I'm sure that time nobody expected it to last for so long, right? But I would say blessing in disguise that because we've been used to this environment. In fact, we've been trying to meet the corners at a capacity which is two-thirds of our full capacity. Like, for example, we have partitions within our vehicle. So we use electric autos in Bangalore, right? So instead of seating 3 people, we are only running with 2 people. So that also ensures that we are so frugal in our approach. And the moment we are back to normalcy, it's going to directly contribute to our bottom line. And more importantly, this is again, I would say blessing in disguise, because we use so many measures to ensure that our drivers and customers are safe. So there is a 7-point program, right, from sanitizing the vehicle to vaccinating the drivers and ensuring that there is a partition between the driver, between the passenger, right? So all of these measures we take care of, and also we advertise this on our vehicles. So if a normal customer comes by choice, he would actually board our vehicles, because the other vehicle might not be safe, right? So that actually gave us a huge edge over competition, which of course we had done it for more for the safety of our customers and drivers. But yeah, definitely it is giving us a huge advantage.
So I'm guessing nobody can sit with the driver and enjoy the front seat in your vehicle. Girish, tell us, how many cities are you currently present in, and what is the plan ahead?
Sure. So we currently are operational in Delhi, Noida, and Bangalore. And of course, these were the obvious strategic choices for us, Delhi being the biggest metro market for India. And Bangalore is the fastest growing. And also, I am based in Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India, I would say. So we had a good team here. So because of that, we are, of course, headquartered in Bangalore. And for the next 1 year, the plan is to increase our footprint in these three cities, plus add one more city in India, as well as launch our first station in the California state. So we are all set for that. So by end of 2020, we will be operational in four cities, as well as in the first station in US will be at a stable state. In terms of numbers, we are looking at serving close to 8 lakh customers by the end of December. So yeah, that's what our target is, Anisha.
Great. That sounds very optimistic. And um, uh, you know, could you tell me how this gap never got filled? What explains this? Because I've seen those small mini buses, with a conductor hanging out of the door and saying Dwarka, 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 get in. So why haven't we got lasting solutions, and why was this gap there that you thought could be filled?
So if you look at that bus technically or a van is a good solution for that kind of market. But the problem is our cities were already there and the metro is getting built now. So you look at any major metro station, even to I'm sure you've seen why Delhi or Bangalore or all these metro stations or the systems get delayed because the acquisition of land becomes so much of an issue, right? So the city is already there. You're putting the metro station today. So we never planned when we were making the city that there would be a metro station coming, right? So just to get the metro station itself is a huge issue. Imagine the other infrastructure like parking or the roads, right? If the roads were broad enough, I'm sure the local corporation buses would have solved the problem. But because metro station, the lanes are so congested, the bigger vehicles are absolutely not possible. In fact, in most of the cities, you would see next to the metro station, maybe half a kilometer radius, the buses are not even allowed, right? So that I think creates a big gap in the market because the last mile cannot be served by bigger vehicles. And when you're, of course, doing smaller vehicles, I want to drive on my own. There is no infrastructure like a parking at the station. So that creates a huge issue because I can't drive because that will be the ideal solution, right? I drive there, park at the station, go to office, maybe do something for the last mile. Last mile, of course, will be a challenge still, but at least half of my problem is solved. But because of the strained infrastructure at the stations, there is no option. There are thousands of people coming, and you will find tens of parking spots. So that creates a huge gap.
Right. So, Girish, you recently raised funds as well. So, how are you going to deploy these funds? Will it be for for technology? Will it be for solutions for the drivers? Perhaps financing, increasing the fleet. How do you plan to? How are you planning your growth ahead?
Sure. So most of our funds will go to the growth. Anisha, as I said, we are increasing our footprint in India, but we also plan to deploy a major chunk of it in technology because technology is what differentiates us, helps us to grow, right? So we already have technology in almost every single process we utilize, right? So mostly we'll go to marketing and growth, and the second biggest is going to go to the technology in building newer solutions and ensuring that we are able to deliver a better experience to the customers. So just to tell you that our wait time has been an industry benchmark, which when we started, our initial commitment to the customer was that you'll be picked within less than 5 minutes of wait time. So we've served over 75,000 customers in last 6 months, and our average wait time has been 2 minutes 1 second.
Wow, that's awesome. So would you attribute this to the technology? What solutions are you using to fine tune this to such an extent where the wait time is reduced to just 2 minutes?
So as I said, when we were building right from day one, the vision was very clear that we do not want to build just one more transport company, but it's going to be a tech platform which will really solve problems. And technology always came handy, right? Right from deciding the who's going to pick you, to where you would be picked from. So there is a technology in every single bit, and that's where the artificial intelligence or the machine learning tools come in very handy, because when you are plotting these spots, you should know that which is the ideal place from where you would be picking people from. And then of course we used a lot of research when we were building the solution. Just to share a very simple story. Imagine you use a metro and you come out of metro and you've booked one of these taxi hailing services, and the driver has been assigned to you. You come out, you will see tens of taxis in the line, or maybe hundreds at times, right? And of course, along with you, there are thousands of people, or at least hundreds of people. So just to do that, or for you to locate the taxi which has been assigned to you, takes a lot of time. More often than not,
To even leave that, because there's a dam there, to even get out of those stream of taxis takes a long time.
Right. So more often than not, you'll be saying, "Bhaiya, I am standing here in red T-shirt near pillar number 23." All of that takes a lot of time. So what we did very simply is, our vehicles actually have an LED which displays the color of the route. Okay, when you book our ride through our app, your app screen actually changes to that color. So imagine you booked a ride and your app screen is red, and you just have to basically locate the red taxi, and you can just hail any of those red taxis, and you are given a unique OTP using which the customer can actually identify you. So it makes the driver customer matchmaking so easy, especially at the congested junction. So it really cuts down the time which normally you would have wasted in just the location of the driver.
Right. So 5 years from now, what kind of revenue growth are you looking at?
So 5 years, of course, is a long time, but definitely we have our projections. As I said, we are looking at India and US as our key markets. So put together, so we are building a company which is going to grow to 400 million in top line, with a positive EBITDA of 20%. So that's what our aim is, to build a company which will not only create profits but also generate employment for tens of thousands of people. And of course, we will be cutting down the carbon footprint by close to quarter of a billion tons every single, in the 5 years tenure.
That is a significant achievement. Girish, would you also be in a position to get some incentives from the government because of usage of EVs? And would these then be passed on to drivers who are ultimately owning the vehicles?
Oh yes, I think EV, the single point agenda today is the adoption of EV. The government is already doing a lot. So these vehicles which drivers buy are already given subsidies by the government. So most of these EVs, if you look at, there are a decent amount of subsidies already passed on by the government. Plus, there are a lot of other incentives when you are setting up a charging infrastructure. So government has been, I would say, very, very proactive. Niti Aayog is coming with a lot of initiatives to ensure that EV adoption happens at the fastest pace. And I think we are lucky to be in these times that the government is so pro, and the private sector is definitely getting benefited from it.
Right. And Girish, you don't foresee any problems that your drivers face for charging, etc., because you want to increase the fleet size, right? But is the infrastructure catching up in the right pace?
Yes. So of course, I would not say it's a breeze. Definitely, you got to work around it. So we have done strategic tie-ups with some big companies which are working as a very strong ecosystem partners for us. So we work with a company called Sun Mobility, which is one of the leading charging infrastructure companies in India. Similarly, we have our OEM partner in Piaggio, and we work with a few other vendors as well. So it's a time that everybody has to join together and work towards adoption. So I would not say it's as easy, because it definitely is a constraint. If I was to buy an IC vehicle, definitely it's not the future, but it will be easy for me today. But we've taken the harder route just to have a longer and a sustainable vision, right? So yes, so we work with a lot of such companies to ensure that we are looking at a long term results rather than just taking a shortcut.
All right, Girish, thank you so much for speaking with us. It's been fun talking with you, and at least one thing I can take out is that I'm a fluent. Maybe one day, once I see your vehicle in South Delhi, I will get to board it, fluent or otherwise. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Anisha, for all that time. It was lovely chatting with you. Good day.
Thank you. So that was Girish of MetroRide talking to us about the journey so far and the plans ahead for the company, which is a ride-hailing technology company which provides last-mile solutions from the metro station to your home. With that, we'll close this episode of Green Shoots. We'll be back with more founders of startups talking about their journeys. Do join us again.